Hey, that was a nice one again.
Wasn't that beautiful?
Yes.
I really like that. Welcome everyone to Clear Mind Endless Possibilities. We're super glad that you are here with us today. If you're here, go ahead and drop us a comment in the chat as we get started. I'm Stacey Gonzalez with my amazing co-host and all-star rock star, Nikki
All star,
Vinogradov.
rock star.
All-star rock star. How do you like that?
Oh, that's a really good one. And name was pretty well announced and everything. I'm really looking forward to today's session, by the way. Hi, everyone. I think it couldn't be much more relevant to talk about the mental strength and resilience in the times when we already have 2 years. It's I do also hope to bring some humor to it, or like how else to take, well, nothing funny about it, but we just thought we are going to leave probably 2 years of some uncertainty
Mm.
behind us, and then we actually jump into something even way more intense. Of course, depends. Everybody has their own experience. Not only that we experience things differently, but we are also experiencing different things. So what I really wish to be able to give through today's session about mental strength, I always want to say kind of three things. One of them is that mental strength beyond willpower. Willpower is really big aspect of mental strength, and it's also not sustainable. There's something even bigger than mental strength. Uh, there's something bigger than willpower, and then some tools, some how to develop mental strength, how to connect with it. Because like Stacy, with you and with many others who were in the session on Monday on the meditation, our focus was not to develop mental strength, to actually connect with it, because we do have the mental strength. And then, well, third thing, the meditation to give an actual experience of that mental strength that we have. So, and why I think it's so important is that every every moment that we spend in stress and fear, not only that it's pulling us down, but it's also a moment that is not invested into doing something that is good for us and for our loved ones and the people around us. And I don't, I don't think one of the most important things we can give to others now is this example of mental stability, because we human beings have this amazing quality, we have this amazing capacity to, even when we are stressed out, to see another person who's calm, and in that moment we can become calm, we can
Mm.
see that it's possibility, because in some sense we are transmitting mind states to each other. For this, even from the perspective that we have the mirror neurons that kind of allow us to identify with the mind states of other people. And that's why, from my perspective, this is such an important topic, because then we can transmit this stable mind state to
Mm.
others.
Mm. Yeah, thank you for really a couple of things. You always do such a nice job setting the intention of what we hope for each week when we show up together in this space, and also really as we talked this week about the things that we're facing across the globe. I know you shared, I think it was in a post because I don't think we've talked about it, but
Mm,
how you had a conversation with your daughter
mm.
about what it means to be in war and if you have to fight, and certainly um, do you want to share, can you share a little bit about that and
Yeah,
what
so
that was like?
that was, I've been through quite difficult things in life, just like most people, and people have been through way more difficult things than I have. Also, it's this week's been really quite, how would I say, the one of the most difficult things to carry in life probably is, well, our daughter, she's 8 years old, and she of course became aware that there's war, and we talk with her very openly about things like we will die, all those things, and we talk about them as wise, in a as wise manner as possible, trusting her, seeing how she takes it, and so on. And then she asked me the other morning with tears in her eyes if I have to go to war.
Mm.
And that's also like, she asked that, and I cannot tell her that no, because Finland is neighboring country of Russia, and and we had wars with them, and if Finland would if Russia would if Putin would declare war against Russia, I would have a moment that I would never want to experience, to tell my daughter that I have to go, and realizing that it's actually a possible situation. Well, that's been quite a thing to have inside. So that's that. And yesterday, our daughter was she was crying in the evening because of the war, because my stepson, who I've known since he's 9, he is actually in the US military. And now our daughter is also afraid that he has to go there. So those are things that I at least look at it in a way that, of course, those fears cannot stop me. I still want to be able to do all the necessary things, and those things even drive me to do more. I want to be able to do even more for others, for myself, for family, because those moments make me realize how precious life is, and the fact that it can change in such a drastic way. So I was laughing with one of my friends. It's like 2019. How many of us would now look back and say, "Hey, that was pretty damn good times we had"? And I do hope to remember these times when we get out of these times.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we certainly have, you know, it you bring up something interesting about looking back at what we thought maybe we disliked about the pandemic when we were in it and we were in lockdown, but there was a certain level potentially of safety and security when we compare that, right? And comparison is dangerous, but when we compare that to right now, where what we're dealing with is not a global pandemic, but a real global threat to not just people's lives, which clearly, obviously, it is to people's lives, but to our sense of security on a
Yes.
global scale. And that's why this whole idea and what we really wanted to talk about when it comes to mental and emotional resilience and strength in times that are uncertain, because we can point right now in this time, we can point to Russia and Putin and what is happening specifically. And as an American, for many of us, we don't necessarily know what to do. It's a very, for me, let me speak for me. It's a very helpless feeling. Talking to you, having international friends, what can I do? How can I support aside from, donate or of those things? And then how can I stay resilient and strong internally so that the people that I'm connecting and engaging with are also feeling strong and resilient?
Right, that's a very good question, and I guess the answer lies into, well, what do we, each individual, what do we truly want? Who do we want to be during these difficult times, and why do we want to be? That's the guide that will guide us, I would say. Is, for example, I know that my mission calling is, there's many people who can give many different things, which is necessary because we need, how would I say, different expressions of the compassion and wisdom and so on. And for me, I know that my gift or calling since a child has been that in intense situation I can give stability, and I can give this sense to others, because I also receive it from others, that look, it's like, you can handle this. And it's not in the way, I wouldn't at all say it in some motivating way, like, hey, you got this. But it's rather, whether it's through example or through guidance or having a conversation with people, to rather point out and give the people the experience that, look, there really is this point of stability in you that can take any storm. And so for my behalf, is that is what I wish to be able to keep in myself and give to my surroundings. And in general, the answer is difficult. What can we do? I guess it exactly depends on what kind of world we want to see. And I would just from my perspective is to keep the mind clear as possible, and also not to fall into this evil and good battle, because there are evil people. There are extremely confused people who do terrible things, like we can see now. But it is not that all Russians are now evil. And why that is really important to remember is that there is this old saying that not only every man, meaning human, not only every man is responsible for themselves, but every man is responsible for everyone else. And it's easy to dismiss that. But the imagine, like, why does somebody do something terrible and not even care about it anymore? Is that throughout their life somehow resentment, anger, disappointment has been gathering up, and all of us contribute to that. All of us also contribute to the stability and the goodness, because we might look at somebody in a funny way, we might ignore somebody, we might, whatever small thing we do, if it's coming from anger or hate, it contributes to the collective.
That's right.
And
That's
so
right.
I think it's so important that, like, because if we fall now that every Russian is now evil person, then we will only feel the resentment. We will, like, even if we'll really hope that it happens, that Putin gets out of the game, but even if after that people continue to hate every Russian, then we are not going to be in much better situation in the future. So I think that's really important to keep in mind. Like, if every single one of my move counts, what kind of ripple effect does this word, this action have? So I would think it in that way, and there's a really positive thing there. If we ever think that our life is meaningless, we can remember that average person meets in their life at least 1,000 people.
At least.
At least 1,000 people.
At
Those
least.
1,000 people made 1,000 people.
That's right.
Every single action, word, interaction with others has a ripple effect in the whole world. So our lives are not meaningless at all. We are constantly adding drops into the totality.
Yeah. I used to say, when I was an administrator with teachers, I would tell them, never underestimate your influence. Never underestimate a single moment, a single day, a single student. You know, I might not remember every student. I might not remember every moment, and every day. But you have, especially when you are in a classroom, you know, Tim Gonzalez is a teacher. He was going to work today and he was talking about the kids, and you don't know that what everything that you're bringing when you show up in those spaces. I'm going to a luncheon today, and I was doing some visualization about who do I want to be in the space today. And when you really, you know, on a practical level, because one of the things, you know, we're really good at talking out here in abstract, but also on a real practical level, I want to get really practical about
let's get there.
Let's try to get there today, about the things that we can do to show up as mentally strong and resilient, despite how we may be feeling, despite what thoughts are going on, despite what's happening out there in the world, right? And so, you know, I'd like to spend some time this morning or afternoon, depending on where you're coming in from. Please drop if you have questions about how to be mentally strong or resilient. If you have questions about whatever, drop that in the chat, because we are here to serve you, to make this meaningful for those who are with us, and for ourselves, right? That we all get something out of this. But certainly, this morning I was sharing with you before we started how the visualization of who you want to be, really being able to see yourself in a way of who you want to be, how you want to show up in any given situation, space, or circumstance, and how you actually show up. So I imagine if somebody was video recording me all day, if I was on a reality TV show and I was being recorded all day long, and I played back, that video was played back, what would be the truth of who I am? What would that be? Not me knowing me on the inside, not me saying, oh, well, I said this because, or I did that because, or I talked to that person in that disparaging way because, right? No excuses, no nothing. If you were to see your whole life one day, what would you notice? And if you don't like certain things that you would see or have said, then who do you want to be instead? We ask that question a lot. Who do you want to be? What do you want instead? And so that's a really good place to start, I think. Who do you want to be instead? Really good self-reflection, not in a way that you're indicting yourself. You're not putting yourself on the witness stand. You're not passing a judgment to be harsh on yourself, but you're really allowing yourself space to say, here are some things, here's some evidence that others could easily see, that I'm starting to see, and I want to change that. And so a first step is to I think a first step is to start with, where might I want to make some adjustments? Pick one, don't pick 85. Don't make it be a diet. You can make it be a diet. That's kind of surface. Pick something internal. You've got to work from the inside out, the type of person you want to be, and start there. And then, I'll let you add some things. I know I'm kind of like, right? But you know me, I'm like, let's get to it. Right. And start there. Start with something inside where you are saying, this one aspect of me, I want to be a more resilient person. Okay. What does a resilient person look like? What does a resilient person say? How does a resilient person conduct herself in any situation? And start there.
Exactly. And that's often it sounds really cool to say reprogram your brain. But actually that's how it is done. Is who do you want to be? How does that look like? It's step by step we'll make it more clear to us. We are informing ourselves how to act. And then of course, when it's connected with mental strength, is person like that, what quality, what kind of emotion they would live from? Because in some way, mental strength has to do so much with emotion, both positive, let's say positive and negative, because what is not mental strength? We could say is that we start acting from the worst in us. That is the opposite of being mentally strong, I would say, is that we start falling into emotions and thoughts that take us down, which take us eventually down to resentment, anger, and one good, how would I say, is depression is not to be judged from outside. I don't mean it in that sense. Who wants to be depressed? And we could talk about depression in many ways. There's the chemical imbalance, and then is the chemical imbalance because of how we are doing things, or is it physical? But now I'm talking about the kind of depression that we see enough of things that not working, and we start telling ourselves, maybe it's because I'm like this. And because I'm like this, nothing will ever work. And because nothing will ever work, then I might as well give up. And that is a depression that is more that we ourselves kind of guide ourselves to the point where we really we experience deep lack of energy and clarity, and then we kind of cannot act. And I would say that's the opposite of mental strength. And it's not I wouldn't say that it's weakness. I would say that it's when we're acting from the worst in ourselves that doesn't serve ourselves and doesn't serve others. And I think then from there, the first level of mental strength has to do with willpower. Is to at least I'm not going to fall into those things. I might not be full of energy and clarity, but at least I'm not going to fall over to those, like, I want to give up, I want to become angry at that person, I want to give up on hope. And I think the highest level.
Are you saying willpower is an entry point that we can start? We can start with a little bit of willpower, and if we start with willpower, yes. Is that accurate?
Yeah, yes, I would say willpower is at least that we don't fall down and that we can get ourselves moving a bit. So I would say it's necessary. But we can go a lot further from that, because then the question very much connected to exactly what you were saying: who do I want to be? What do I want to give? How does a resilient person live? How do they speak? How do they interact with others? Is that I think mental strength is beyond not falling down. It's, can we bring the best in us into the world even when things are very difficult? When it would be so easy to become full of anger towards somebody or a situation, can I still somehow, because it's not that, I always often feel the question is never really a moral question. It's not, are you good or a bad person? It's like, how is it serving you, your reaction? How is it working for you? Because sometimes people want to very much justify and explain why they are angry, and the question is, sure, you can be angry, how is it working for you in the long term?
Yes.
Because anger is like burning money, really. And so I think mental strength is, can I still believe in the goodness? We don't need to believe in the goodness of others because we can clearly see that it is there. So it's more like, can I keep my eyes open for that there are good things? Can I contribute into that? I would say that is mental strength in the times of difficulty.
And you might not get the mental, you might not have the mental strength or the mental fortitude immediately. But what I think I'm hearing you say is, you can start at the place. Well, you can only start with the place where you're at. I when you were talking about anger, and so I had this memory that popped in my head when I kind of started working on this inner work, when I started doing this Stacey Gonzalez inner work, right? Which everyone has your own unique work. Your work is your work. Only you know what your work is. We can't, we could never tell you what your work is. You know what that is, right? And so mine was anger, reacting, overreacting to things that did not need to be reacted to in such ways. One time I got a sandwich and they made my sandwich wrong at the shop. And I had waited, I don't know, like I hadn't had the special sandwich from the shop I like, for a really long time. And they put hot peppers on it. And I hate hot peppers. I don't like hot peppers. And so, Tim came home with the sandwich. The sandwich was wrong. And first I was mad at Tim for not checking I don't even know what I was mad about, but I was mad about the sandwich. So I started by blaming him. Then I was slamming the kitchen drawer about the sandwich. I mean, just acting all kinds of crazy. And it was never really about the sandwich, right? It was never about the sandwich. What was really interesting, though, was in that moment, I had a greater awareness that the way I was acting and reacting about something that was not necessary was showing me an area that I could start to work on and start to build upon. And so I remember at one point kicking the cabinet or moving the cabinet and being like, I know I'm being ridiculous right now about a sandwich. And just in the middle of the moment, called myself out to myself, maybe to the others there, because I did not have the mental resilience. This is for real. I did not have the mental resilience to deal with somebody making my sandwich wrong. I'm sure the people who were making my sandwich were not thinking, we're going to make her a sandwich with hot peppers because she hates that. No, nothing like that. And so being able to, use I didn't have the willpower per se to be able to totally be at the place I'm at now. I'd never be mad. I don't want to say never, but I don't think I'd be mad if I got a wrong sandwich with hot peppers on it today to that level.
And you are pointing out really good. By the way, I do always listen to what you say, even though I don't, because I'm listening in the sense that I'm like, you walk us somewhere and I'll keep going to the same direction. So I just continue to walk based on what you were saying. And if there's anybody who's listening, seeing this, definitely do write questions about what you want to know about mental strength, how to develop it, because it helps us to focus on the right things. And now I'm still going to the willpower thing, is that, okay, we might not be upset that the sandwich was done wrong. And what does that have to do with willpower? Is that, okay, 2 years pandemic, looking at all kinds of different things and reading news, something goes wrong financially, no problem, I'll carry it. No problem, I'll carry it. Oh, war is about to erupt. No problem, I carry it. My child is sick. No problem, I carry it. Today is raining. Screw the whole world. F everything. Just forget about everything. It's not because it's raining. It's because willpower eventually will just cannot carry everything. And that's why maybe we could go into like, okay, so if we now talked about, which I think is the first step, awareness, what is not, how do I recognize that I'm falling away from my mental strength? And this is always a question, not a question of performing for others. It's not, I need to be mentally strong so others see me as mentally strong. It's always first for us and then we can give to others. So I'm speaking.
Well, and can I add, I think it's, I want to be mentally strong. So I see myself and I'm aware of myself being mentally strong. And then what happens as a result of seeing myself mentally strong, I become more mentally strong.
Yes, it is definitely a self-feeding,
self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, and loop spiral, because it becomes more stronger. I'm mentally strong. I can do this. I did this. That means I'm mentally strong, and it becomes stronger. And I think the first part is just recognizing, when am I falling? When am I walking towards a point where I will fall into the mental states I don't want to be in? What's the direction? How do I get? How do I want things to be? What are the mental states, mindset where I want to be? That's I would say is the first step practically when working with mental strength. We just need to know where we are and where not to go and where to go. And I think, in my experience, the second step would be willpower, which is mainly about movement. Okay, now I'm going to not fall, I'm going to move towards the right direction. How do we develop that kind of strength? Is through, on daily basis, doing small things that have resistance in them. I think people can agree or not that physical exercise, is one of the best ways to develop mental strength, for a simple reason that when we are exercising, the part of the mind constantly comes in and says, stop, let's not do this, stop, this doesn't feel good, but okay, doesn't matter, I'll still lift this weight, I'll still run this mile. And every time we do that, we are giving a vote to that part of us. We are saying, this is more important now. And that mental muscle grows. But sometimes one of the things that I somehow have difficult in sometimes being empathetic about, I would say I'm able to have empathy for it. It's difficult for me when a person says they are going to do something really important for themselves and they say, I didn't do it because it wasn't easy. And in my mind, it's okay, are you saying that you will not do things if they're not easy? Because that's going to make your life very difficult. So that's one of the things is that.
Well, is it that the thing is, I don't know. And then Livy's here. Yay, Liv. And she's got a question, but I want to interject this and then let's answer her question. Is it that it's not that the thing is hard? So for me, meditation for 15 minutes twice a day, if it's just presented like this, you meditate and breathe for 15 minutes twice a day. That's the minimum. That's not that hard when you say that and you think of it in that. What is hard is when I'm sitting in that 15 minutes and my shoulder starts to feel itchy, or my leg wants to move, or I don't want to sit or whatever. The thoughts are popping through my head and it doesn't feel like I'm meditating, or I'm not focusing enough on whatever those things are. So it's not that it's, when you think about sitting for 15 minutes or going for an exercise for a half an hour, it's not even that that's hard. It's what's hard is creating the consistent pattern of seeing yourself as that person who shows up in a space in a way that commits to themselves.
Well, I'm glad you brought meditation up as an example, and we can answer to Livy's really good question through looking at the structure of meditation. What do we do always at the beginning? Well, let's say what is really useful to do at the beginning of every meditation is exactly to go over that phase where the mind is still fighting against calming us down, because there's so many things going on inside us that ask us to do anything else but to just be. So that's always the first, as you both, I know Livy has done, and you, Stacy, maybe other people who are here have done meditation. I would say for beginner meditator, it's first 15 and 20 minutes are simply to even get the mind to be for some time in the same space. And that's what you could say, that develops willpower. And then, because I'm staying here, let's go there. No, I'm staying here. Let's go there. No, I'm staying here. And then the second stage of the meditation is we have calmed enough down. We start doing a visualization, and that's not anymore willpower. That's already that's when we no longer need to try to push parts of the mind to go in the same direction. But at this point, we have enough mental strength that we actually can direct the stream of the mind. We can direct the thoughts and the emotions, so that we actually are in the charge of the content of the mind. And then the third, which is visualization, breathing, whatever it is. And then in complete meditation, there's comes thing called dissolving phase, where we completely let go. We are just aware, and that's the highest level of mental strength, because nothing can disturb that mind state. It's so spacious, it's so energetic and clear that nothing can get into it, which means there's no need for willpower. There's no need to control the mind, because what would be, I don't know if any metaphor comes to my mind is, well, sometimes it's used, this metaphor of hawk, eagle. Eagle doesn't care if there's winds, because the eagle just goes along with the winds, but it has no problem. It has the full overview of what's going on, and it's going along the streams. It doesn't have to fight the wind, for example. So I would say, let's see, are these two phases one? I would say they are one process, and at the same time, it's not. It is, as long as we are not yet. It's not about ability. As long as we are not yet enough familiar with recognizing the awareness, or the, let's say, the state home, with a lack of better word, as long as we don't recognize our natural state, we will be going up and down. And sometimes my teacher used a really good example. Then I'll finish. Is that when we are at the beginning, it's not a good way to use beginning as a meditator. When we are not yet familiar with our own power and stability of the mind, we will go a lot like this. Like we will go like this. Then after a few years, we'll go like this. Then after more years, we'll go like this. Then we go like this, and then we start going more like this. And of course, one of the most important things that I always want to say, that when I talk about calmness, I'm talking about really clear and radiant calmness, not some passive, emotion-free state. So my final thing in this monologue is that mental strength is not about not feeling the feelings that we don't want to feel. It's just we are able to contain and carry fear, grief, sadness. For example, right now, who would actually want to be able to look at Ukraine and just be nothing? I'm so calm, I don't feel anything. So that's never the point.
No. Again, I know you said you don't like to use the word beginning meditator, but you've been meditating consistently for, I think you say 14 years, 15 years now. I would say I started in 2019, maybe I'm at 2 years. But for me, something really pops into my mind, a technique. I'm really good at like creating these little internal Stacy Gonzalez techniques. I think it's the teacher in me. And so I'll share one that I've used quite a bit, and I can remember it perfectly. So, in this whole like being aware and being in the awareness, and what's the awareness, and that's a word that's used a lot in the meditation realm, like check into the awareness or whatever. And so what I started to do when I first started, and I don't do it as much now, but I'll still catch myself, is I will be in any situation, like sitting at a meeting at work or sitting somewhere, and I would just be like, okay, where's the awareness right now? Where is it? Is it up there in that corner of the room? Is it, and do I notice it? Can I feel it right now? And I don't know that anything was changed or different, except I was like, I just want to be more aware. And I'm kind of in my, day-to-day operations, would just take a moment to especially when things started to feel a little like I could get emotional, or I was starting to sense like, in a meeting or something. I can think of a particular time when I just like look in the corner and I'd be like, okay, where's the awareness in this room? I think it's in here, right? And so just little things to allow. And I guess I share that to say, to your point, you are where you're at, and whatever works for you, offer yourself and allow yourself to explore and try to figure out what works for you, because this meditation, this mental acuity, this ability to operate in your life, only you know the formula for you. We can, Nikki and I can talk and we can share and we can explain and we can, but ultimately this is the ultimate, you are the owner of your life. And so you are the one that is going to figure out, like, we're just here to kind of offer some experiences that we've had potentially. Mine are fresher because they're newer. I've not been in that meditative space as long.
So, and what you were saying there about the well, now I don't know if we are going a little bit to the side, if I'm going to the sidetrack, but about teacher and other people's examples and how mental strength allows people to be examples, is that exactly like if people are listening to this, everyone needs to find their own way. But maybe I don't want to go there, because what do you feel, Stacey, or people who are there listening, what would be, still we have 10 minutes before the meditation, what would be truly valuable when it comes to mental strength? Now we've kind of talked about why is it important, again, not from point of view that this is why you should think it's important, but again the question like why it actually will serve you, the mental strength. And then we talked about what is the opposite of mental strength, which we talked about, that it's not weakness, but it's when we live from the worst in us. And worst, again, I'm not making it a moral statement, from emotions that are nobody wants to live from, the mind states that nobody wants to be around, and so on. And then we talked about the first thing is to be aware. Okay, now I'm falling off the cliff into mind states I don't want to go. I have enough willpower to move the direction where I want to, and I can develop my willpower through exercise, meditation, and so on. And the real goal, if goal is the right word, is to be so aware and connected that we it's impossible to always make it that it doesn't sound eccentric, but it is just so true that we do have inside this strong, clear state of mind that is always available to us. It doesn't need to be built. So it's a kind of through stages we learn to recognize that and live from that.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, I think the real natural next space to go to is to go into the meditation and allow people that space to experience it, because it's beyond like I think the interesting thing about mental resilience is it's not about your mind as much as it is about a felt sense. And so allowing space for that experience in the meditation, and why we do this guided meditation, is so that you experience mental resilience and clarity in
Yes.
in the space.
Really good you brought that up, because also one more point that we already talked about is that willpower it cannot carry us through. But similarly, as there's a very strong tendency, I was just talking with one of my sisters, because she has 3 children. She's afraid of the war to come to Finland, obviously, and she's reading into news all the time, and then she's trying to calm herself down by explaining. Because what happens is when we start falling into the fear is that the mind, because you said it's not about mind, exactly, because the mind starts trying to, there's the fear feed examples of what might happen, what we don't want to experience. And the rational mind tries to attack it by feeding images that we would want to experience. And then we look into the world, into news. Oh, that's a proof that things will go wrong. Now I will quickly find proof that it cannot go wrong. Oh, now I can calm down because I found in the news that it won't happen. Now I found this another news that it says the terrible thing will happen. And so the mind gets really entangled in itself because it's trying to talk itself out of fear. But the thing is that only the feeling of courage and the mental clarity can get us out of fear. So that's why it's really good that you said it's not about the content of the mind can't ever find clarity by, how would I say, attacking the content of the mind. It's like you have a bird.
You're not going to think your way to clarity.
Yeah,
you cannot think your way to clarity. You cannot listen. I am a researcher. I love to read. If I was talking to Tim Gonzalez about something the other day, I said, if I could have solved this with my thinking mind, I'm smart. I would have it figured out by now. And it's not going to happen in my brain, in the way I think and construct meaning. Like, that's just not it. It's not going to be solved with my thoughts. And that's a really scary yet powerful place to be.
Because the thoughts become the best servants when they are able to operate from a stable emotion.
That's right.
Then they can operate. Then they can help us in the world. Okay. So, well, you mentioned earlier that the meditation could be about relation to the situation in Ukraine. So I'll connect it. Let's do something around mental strength and compassion, though almost would need to have an explanation what I think compassion is, but let's not go there. Let's start then. By the way, how many people, just that I little bit know if, like, is there completely new people or not, just that I know what if I shall explain something about.
I don't know. I don't see anybody. I see only a few people on. So
yes, cool. So it doesn't always need to be explained, the meditation. So we can become aware of this blue, deep blue, radiating, energetic, humming, kind of like when electricity is humming in a stable way, that kind of light and radiance inside our chest, in our heart. So there's this blue, radiant, humming, tingling, alive blue light in our heart, radiating into our ribs and our upper back, filling our heart, filling our lungs. It's a blue light of calmness, of stability, of clarity, of seeing things as they are. And this blue radiance is also now flowing or expanding into our shoulders, our throat, our solar plexus. And all the cells in our body, all the atoms even inside the bones, they are vibrating along with the blue light. The blue light that is calm, radiant, clear, allows us to see things as they are, allows us to act in a way that things are as they are meant to be. And this blue light shines into our arms, elbows, forearms, wrists, palms of our hands, our fingers, our fingertips, every cell, every atom in our arms, chest, upper back, shoulders, throat is vibrating along with this steady hum of the blue light. And this blue light that is all aligning our cells, it's calming down our body, it's also filling our chin, our mouth, our lips, our cheeks, our nose, our eyes, our eyelashes, our eye ribs, or whatever they are called, our frontal lobe, our forehead, our hair, if you happen to have hair, top of your head, back of your head, your neck. Now everything from our solar plexus up is filled with this blue, radiating, calming hum and radiance and energy in the form of blue light. You can imagine that every cell, every atom is vibrating with it. And now the blue light starts spreading, expanding, flowing through our sides, our solar plexus, our lower back, our spine, our intestines, our stomach, all the way to our hips. Our whole upper body, from our hips to top of our head, is humming, vibrating, radiating with this blue energy, with this blue light. And it's so vibrant, it's like thunder, it's like lightning that's been captured in small space. That's how strongly it vibrates. And it spreads into our thighs, our knees, our ankles, calf muscles, our toes, the soles of our feet. Our whole body is filled with this radiating, energetic blue light from tips of our toes to the top of our head. From the top of our head to our head, throat, chest, arms, solar plexus, stomach, hips, thighs, knees, all the way to the tips of our toes. And our body is becoming transparent, it's becoming hollow, it's becoming light and easy to be in. And if your mind is having any ideas how this now should be or shouldn't be, simply allow yourself to have the experience that you are right now having. And then remaining that the core, the seed, the source for this blue light is in our heart. Through our heart, through our whole body, we can become aware of our planet. The size of it. And we can become aware of the core of the planet, the very center of our planet, directly aligned with our spine. Through our spine, through our lower body, we sense the core, the center of our planet, way, way down below us. We can even feel it through the soles of our feet, right below us, directly below us, far away from us. There's the core, the center of our planet. Now, with fairly fast movement, we start moving downwards, falling downwards, but voluntarily. We are voluntarily falling towards the core of our planet. It's becoming closer and closer. We are moving through the layers of the planet. You can already feel the ground level is above our heads. And we are this radiating blue light, this shiny, hollow, transparent blue body full of aliveness, and we are moving downwards towards the core of the planet. Moving faster and faster. It's almost like we are in a tube, a pipe in a tube, falling downwards with no fear, just fully relaxed. And now it's becoming closer and closer. The core of the planet, of our planet, is now about 30 feet, like 10 meters below us. And as I count to 10, when we get to 0, we have arrived. So we keep moving now slowly, like flowing, almost like a feather, while being completely aware of this radiance in our chest. So we now 10, 9, 8, 6, 5, and now we are very close to the core. We can feel it through our body. 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0, and we are now right at the core of the planet. We are inside this, almost like a ball of magma, of this fire. We are very aware of the core of our body, of our spine, our chest, our skeletal structure that is still humming, vibrating, shining with this blue light. We can take few, not intense, but few deeper inhalations and exhalations, being very aware that we are at the core of our planet. We can breathe like this for a while. You can breathe in very deep and allow yourself to breathe out as much oxygen as possible. And you can breathe as you want in this way, but be aware of your breath. And now you can allow yourself to bring to your awareness moments, thoughts, tendencies, emotions that you know that do not serve your life. Things you've done, no matter how small, but you deep down inside you know and knew these aren't good for me. Judgments, thoughts, words, expressions, actions that weren't good for you or anyone. And there's absolutely no need to feel guilt or shame about them. We can become aware that it is through our ignorance sometimes. We do not understand how life functions. And we understand that here, as we are at the core of the planet, as from our heart, this blue light radiates into the hearts of every single other human being that are now there on the surface of the planet. Billions, millions of human beings right now there on the surface of the planet. And you also know that they do things, think things, say things that are not useful for them. we can become aware, it's because we don't always know, we don't always understand how life functions. We get lost in our own ignorance. And somewhere in you, there's this feeling of forgiveness. Forgiveness is strength. This ability to let go of things that weigh us. We still have our boundaries. We still do not accept things that harm us, especially when it comes to ourselves. So if you can really feel, where would this absolute sense of forgiveness, where would that be in your body? So that all the judgments, all the worry, all the thoughts about what people should have done and they shouldn't have done, and what I should have done and what I shouldn't have done, all the things that bother and bug our minds can be now just allowed to dissolve into this feeling, so that we can be mentally strong. We no longer need to fall and try to rely on anger. When we don't need to rely on anger, then we can be clear-mindedly powerful instead of being lost in this powerful feeling of anger. So this feeling of forgiveness, where we just drop all that they should have, they shouldn't have. I was hurt, I was victim, why did I do this to myself? I should have done this to myself. They can now all dissolve into this feeling of forgiveness. Now at the core of this planet, as we are there in this blue body, courage. Where might that be in your body? Where would you experience it? The feeling, the movement, the thoughts that allow us to do the things even when we are deeply afraid. Things that come from our gut, from our heart, the things that we know that are good and right, but we are scared. Maybe others will judge us. Maybe somebody will get hurt. The confusion and the fear that try to surround and trick the right action that we always know. Where would this courage be in your body? And you can sense there on the surface of the planet the countless people in the past, in the present, people who are absolutely so convinced about what is right and what is true that even when they were deeply afraid, they still did it, even if it meant that they had to give up their life. Can you imagine what kind of feeling that might be? What kind of feeling would it be to be so convinced, to be so committed to what you consider to be true that you would be willing to pay anything for it, even your life? Now, I'm not trying to make any suggestions, I'm simply doing my best to guide us to feel that feeling. How might that feeling feel? Where would this courage, this stability, this clarity, this aliveness, even joy, this complete feeling of inner safety, no matter what happens, you would have this feeling? How would that feel, and where would you feel it in your body? Can you get even bit, and now you can be aware first as you're trying to or experiencing that feeling. You can be aware if it is your mind, if it is the rational mind that is trying to build that feeling. Because it can't. The only thing we can do is we can experience these qualities, these emotions in our body. Imagine this conviction, complete conviction about your path. You could completely trust and rely that no matter what, you will keep walking. How would that feel? Where would be the core of that experience? Where would be the seed and source of that experience? What would that emotion, that quality tell you right now? What would it say to you? And keep your mental awareness in your body. Feel your stomach, your feet, your heart. And what is it, the world, your loved ones, all the people in the world, what would they miss out if you did not exist? What is it that you, what is it the gift that you are giving? What's your expression of your depths? What is it that you deeply, if you could make one wish for everyone, what is it that you would wish for them? I'm asking these questions so you can get closer to the essence of what is most natural to you, because we all have it different. Some people want to protect, some people want to nurture, some people want to enrich, some people want to inspire. We all have abilities to do that, and then something just simply feels closer to us. If you can be fully aware and remember you have this blue radiant energy in your chest, in your heart, radiates through your whole skeletal structure, through your body, through every single atom in your head, throat, hands, chest, stomach, back, feet. What can you sense in you at the very core of you? What is your expression? What is it that if you could now wish for everyone, what would it be? And what would be the feeling? And allow yourself to relax into that quality, that feeling, that emotion. And now if you want, you can put your hands over your heart like this. If you want, you can really be aware of your heart area, your lungs, and you can breathe a bit into your heart. And now this feeling, whatever feeling you have connected with, however you are feeling right now, I hope it's some kind of update from before we started the meditation. Because if it is, you can remember that nothing really needed to be done for it. Only thing you did was to connect with it. And this feeling, your deepest wish for others, now this blue light is fully connected, immersed, blended with that wish that you have for others. And if this blue light now starts filling your thoughts, your mental awareness, your bodily awareness, every single cell, every single atom in your body is being filled with this radiating blue light that is connected with this feeling and this wish. And it starts radiating to every direction like a dome that is expanding. And it's humming, it's vibrating like thunder, like lightning, and it's spreading into every direction. It's finding its way to the surface of the planet. It's filling the bodies of every single person below you, behind you, above you, in front of you, in your left side, in your right side. In all directions, there's vibration expanding from your heart into the bodies of every single human being, not leaving anyone out, not anyone. And it vibrates and shines from you as you're at the core of the planet, shines through you to every single being, every single person, feeling their heart, feeling their forehead, feeling their stomach, feeling their feet, clearing their mind, allowing them to express themselves, allowing them to recognize the joy they have, allowing them to recognize their truth, allowing them to act from that. And what is it that you can do every day to contribute a bit into that? How could you speak? How can you think? What is the way that you can feel and express yourself so that this becomes reality for as many as possible? Being aware of all directions, you will now start slowly expanding beyond the borders of your body. Your awareness, your sense of direction, your bodily sense, your mental awareness, your thoughts, your emotions starts expanding beyond the borders of your body, every direction, as far and wide and deep as possible. And this blue light also shines through the hearts of every single person, every single human. And this blue light in all directions gets mingled, gets connected. And now you can allow yourself completely relax into this blue, shiny vibration in all directions. There's no center and there's no limit. There's simply awareness, being aware of all the space. And whatever you're experiencing now, it's mental clarity, it's joy, warmth, spaciousness of the mind. You can remember that it's all the time there. And then remembering your wish, remembering what you want to be able to give, we can go on into the day. All right.
All right. Well,
There we go.
thank you for that lovely guided meditation. We appreciate everyone that is a part of this with us. Certainly reach out if you would like. We do Mondays in a Zoom where we share a little bit more because we're all in that space. So you're more than welcome to attend Mondays, Thursdays, and we're really here for everyone out there. So thank you so much.
Yes, thank you for your questions, for your presence, whatever you hopefully gained a lot from this. And yes, see you. If you are interested in the Monday meditation, get in touch with me or Stacy. If you're interested in general what we today talked about, get in touch on LinkedIn. All right.